Conscious parenting is not about raising your children consciously. It's about you being conscious. Conscious parenting is about yourself. One of the most beautiful things about having children is the children come into our lives to complete us. They reflect the part of ourselves that we disown. They reflect the part of ourselves that we are in judgment of. They reflect the part of ourselves that is actually beautiful and very complete. So children play a very important role for us, as we do for them. But raising your children consciously has more to do with you being conscious than what you think you need to do for them to raise them consciously. You see, I would say I have a mother who's pretty conscious. When I was growing up, my friends would call her the Oracle, just as a joke, because she was the wise one. And I watched my mother raise 5 different children, 5 very different children. And I have to say that her most powerful gift that she gave to us was her having acceptance for each individual. I felt accepted. The role I played, what I came here to do, what my sister and brothers came here to do, the role, the personalities, all very, very different. But the most powerful thing that I learned from my mother was the ability for her to accept each individual as an individual. My mother would teach me that life, or even our family, is like an orchestra. Every single child, every single member of the family are playing their instrument. Every instrument sounds different. The piano is not meant to sound the same as the saxophone. The drum is not meant to sound the same as the piano. But we're all playing one music. Every member of an orchestra is playing one music, but every sound from every instrument is different. So I learned a lot from my mother about the power of acceptance. I'd like to add as well, when I'm talking about acceptance, it's not just accepting your child for who they are and what they've done and what their ambitions are. It's more about accepting how you feel about them, about the role they're playing, about their gifts, the attributes, their downfalls. It's about accepting how you feel about all that. So yes, we accept our children for who they are, but it's more about accepting. Acceptance is not just intellectual. Acceptance is an energy that is one of embrace. You're embracing your children, yes. When I say acceptance, people go, oh yeah, we accept our children. But what's most powerful here is about you accepting how you feel in the role and the personalities that your children are playing for you in your life. If you can accept how you feel, you'll realize that your child is here to complete yourself, not in them, but in yourself. Your child is showing you a piece of yourself for you to complete yourself. Most parents place expectations on their children by wanting for their children what they want for them. But it's not about you wanting what you want for them. It's about wanting what they want for themselves. That's pure acceptance. My upbringing was always about guiding me, accepting and embracing the processes that I needed to go through. There was no judgment. Of course, I had, just like anyone, a typical parents that would say, you should do this, you shouldn't do this. Yes, they would. But at the end of the day, when I would make my decisions, and they knew there was a pitfall at the end of my decisions, it was about being there for me rather than changing my path. Because if that's my path, if that's an experience that I came here to have, they're there in acceptance, in embracement. So I hope I can be the parent that I've watched my mother be for me. I have 2 kids. They're still young. One's about to turn 3 and one is 5. And I know I'm going to have a challenge ahead of me. But I know my children are here to play a role for me as much, and if not more, as I am here to play a role for them. It's about you being conscious. Sometimes when people are on the path of consciousness, they make it about other people or other things they need to do. It's actually stopping the things that you think you need to do. It's about bringing yourself back to you. By far, I have been impacted mostly by watching my mother walk her talk, not telling me what she thinks is best for me based on her view, accepting what I'm here to do, accepting what I'm here to experience. And I may add that I lost my sister when I was 20 years old and she was 19. And watching my mother come to a point of even accepting that, as difficult as that was, and as difficult I couldn't even imagine that as a parent today. I couldn't even imagine it. But the key point here is about her being in acceptance and her being conscious. Conscious parenting is not about you raising your children consciously. It's about you being conscious. Be the example. Walk the talk. When they're ready, they will ask you. I had to go and take my own path. I remember I started young speaking to my mother about consciousness. By the age of 12, 13, I was having different spiritual experiences and having conversations all about consciousness. By the time I turned 18, 19, I told my mother, you know what? I need to go and do the things that are going to make things easier for me. I've got no money. I need to go and become wealthy. I need to become rich. And my mum looked at me and she said, my son, that's not going to make you happy. Do what you need to do, of course. But being rich is not going to make you happy or make you feel complete. And I said to her, I think it'll make things a lot easier, Mum, because I was under a lot of pain, a lot of struggle, a lot of pressure financially. So by the time I was 19, I had my first business. By the time I was 20, 21, I was on the verge of bankruptcy. I didn't declare bankrupt. I fought through it, paid all my debts off. By the time I was 25, 26, I had a very successful company. And I sat down one day in my office by myself and I realized that ain't it. I didn't find what I was looking for in my failure. I didn't find what I was looking for in my success. And I went knocking on my mum's door and I said, all right, Mum, what do you know? Then she took my hand and taught me about consciousness again. I had to divert for 7 years, go and experience failure, go and experience success, go and experience whatever. It was a good 6 or 7 year period. You can't just try to teach your children consciousness. They have to be ready. All you can do is be there for them. And when they knock on your door and say, what's this breathing that you know about? What's this about presence? What's this about infinite energy? What's this about love? What's this about acceptance? Tell me, that's when they're ready. And until then, if you're trying to push consciousness or get your child to be spiritual, or aware, or whatever word you have for it, and they're not ready, you're only trying to push something on them that you haven't realized in yourself. You want them to make the change in their life that you haven't made yet. Everything that I'm sharing with you has got to do with your self-realization. We think that we want to become better parents by raising our children consciously. That has to do with your self-realization. We want to pass on to our children, the very thing that we've learned. But if you're pushing that on them when they're not ready, it's got to do with your lack, your ability to live the conscious way. Be conscious. This has got to do with your self-realization. Follow your heart, follow your intuition, walk your talk. And I'll see you guys on the inside.